Disney fans. A live-action remake of The Little Mermaid is finally out this Friday.
The movie's getting so much attention for its casting and the impact that it's having with people everywhere. So we wanted to talk about it, break it down. Dr. Kalise Wornum, who runs a consulting firm dedicated to cultural proficiency. You are an expert in this field. So Disney announcing that Halle Berry is going to star as Ariel. Why is this a big deal?
Well, two things. One, it's Halle Bailey. I just want to make sure we get that because she's worked so hard for this role. And to me, the most important thing, it's representation. Representation matters. You need to see who you want to become. Right? Like, it is terribly important. And she even spoke to the fact that had Ariel, when she was a little girl, represented her and looked like her, she could have identified it in a different way. You can't become something without first seeing it and recognizing it. And I think what they're doing, not just with Ariel, if you look at the sisters that Ariel has in this movie, represent every ethnicity. It's phenomenal.
You know, this is just the latest princess that both adults and children have been able to identify and see themselves, right? We've had Tiana.
Yes.
We have the live-action Belle.
Yes.
Now we have Ariel,
yes.
right? So I just want to talk for a little bit about how this representation is not only important for kids. You know, we know it's important for kids, right?
Sure.
But, like, we didn't grow up with that. So this is important to the adults, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to tell you, when Princess Tiana came out, Princess and the Frog, I was in my 40s, and I found myself going to the big box stores looking for Princess Tiana blankets and just to buy for myself, not for a child.
Right.
Because there had never been a princess that looked like me. And I'm in my 40s still needing that and craving that.
Right. Everybody wants to feel seen and be a part of the action. So it's so important. Representation, you say it needs to start sometimes in the classroom.
Absolutely.
Explain that. Explain why.
Absolutely. Two things. You need to hear and see yourself. And so I work in mostly predominantly white school districts, and I also work in businesses to help them diversify their staff, because kids really don't become who they think they can become. They don't even become who we think they can become. They become who we think they can become, so they need to see us and believe in them and pour into them and represent to them, be a mirror to them. You want kids to have a mirror of who they can be, but you want to give them a window to a world greater than them. And I think that's what we really strive to do in the classroom, but it's also what I think this movie is doing for our younger kids.
And Dr. Wornum, the work you're doing is so important. If someone is watching and they want to work with you and bring these resources to their school or their group, how do they do that?
Absolutely. The best way to reach me is kwdiversityinc.com. You can Google my first name, Kalise, or you can Google kwdiversityinc.com. And again, I've gone all over the Commonwealth to have these conversations, not just with school districts. I was recently in the Berkshires working with a bank as well. And so any industry that is interested in diversifying themselves as well as addressing implicit bias and microaggression, those are big pieces that we have to address as well. It just makes the classroom more equitable.
All right, Dr. Kalise Wornum, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Meeting you. It's so important.
Well.
Such an important topic. I cannot wait to see this movie, too. It's going to be so good.
I got my